The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hello. Welcome back to Peak Northwest, an outdoors and travel podcast by the Oregonian and Oregon Live, dedicated to the adventure and exploration of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm Jamie Hale.
And I'm Kiara Profena. Together we take you to some of the most beautiful and interesting destinations in our region, discussing where to go, what to do, and places to see. And today we're circling back to a favorite topic, dark sky destinations in Oregon. But this time we're shining a spotlight on one often overlooked city that truly deserves more attention.
That's right. You know, when it comes to dark sky stuff these days, people are talking all about the dark sky parks and the big dark sky sanctuary in Oregon, or towns like Sisters and Antelope that have become sort of these big dark sky town destination names. But lost in the shuffle is the town of Sunriver, which at one point had a dark sky designation of its own. So here to tell us all about this special place and some of the incredible cosmic sights you can see from there is Paul Poncy, Observatory Manager at the Sunriver Nature Center and Observatory. Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Good to be here.
So could you just tell us a little bit about what brought you to this work at the observatory and just how long you've been with them?
I grew up loving space and space exploration. So I originally went to school for aerospace engineering and astronomy. And when I got out of school and did some traveling, I was like, I'm not sure about some other choices, but one of the things I love to keep doing is talk about space. So I have actually been doing it off and on at the observatory here in Sunriver for 28 years. Wow. So it's just been a lifelong passion, and I love telling people about space exploration and space itself.
Well, real quick, I'm curious about that. What is it about talking to people about space that you like so much?
It's the sense of wonder, and just the people get amazed, especially when you start to discuss the complexity of space travel, space exploration, and then just the immense time and distances involved in all things in the universe off of Earth. So
yeah, it really puts things into perspective. It makes you feel like really tiny, insignificant speck. But I feel like that is a good reminder sometimes for all of us.
Definitely. And it's we talk to people of all ages, and of course, school kids, their little sponge minds are loving all of this stuff, and they always want to talk about a black hole or a rocket or something. But it's amazing how many adults also like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember that in school, or, oh, all that has changed because of technology changes. We've got so many more advanced spacecraft, new telescopes. I always make sure to let my young employees know that they probably have newer and better information than I had, and that they can always politely correct me and like, hey, this is the new information that we have. So it's you just get a great response from everybody involved.
Well, so as someone who's so interested in educating people about space, I imagine there must be some level of excitement with you for this like dark sky boom that we're having. This sort of, I mean, I know it's sort of a marketing thing, but people are really talking about dark sky places where you can go see the stars better, where you can bring out a telescope and see stuff. And as I understand, Sunriver was one of the first, or the first places in Oregon that got one of these sort of official dark sky designations back in 2020.
Yes, we were the first. The International Dark Sky had uh, what am I looking for? The designation called the Dark Sky Community of Distinction. Uh, it was a very specific kind of title for communities that followed a lot of the dark sky rules and everything like that. And Sunriver had always been doing that since it was conceived in the late 60s. And it was mainly for wildlife, understanding that pollinators and stuff all needed that kind of dark skies. Migration happened under dark skies. And then when astronomers learned that there's this wonderful dark place out in Sunriver, they started setting up telescopes in the parking lot of the nature center, and then that turned into an observatory. But yeah, we were the first. The development of distinction is what it was called, and we were the first ones.
And I know there's so many dark skies in Oregon now. So what do you think made Sunriver so uniquely positioned for this designation at the time?
I think it was because we did have this large public observatory. We have this huge collection of telescopes. We'd been doing it for years, and there's not many other places even like it in the country. So we kind of stood out among the astronomy community. The dark sky community knew we existed. And so it was great that we had all these resources out there. And then, so I think that was what drew the community, the International Dark Sky Association to our community, was the fact that we had all this already set up. So we were prepared to be involved as an organization in helping with this designation and learning a little bit more.
Well, Paul, I know you touched on this a second ago, but I wonder if we could talk a little bit more in depth about why is it important to protect dark skies?
Well, a lot of things are happening in the night that we probably don't notice because we are sleeping. Which that's the first thing. Humans, we've evolved to go through these day-night cycles where we like darkness to sleep. Then we're up during the day doing our things. And one of the first things that dark sky is important about is humans. It's great for our health. If we have dark skies, we're starting to learn about like the blue light coming from our phones and stuff. It's like, so, don't be on your phone at 11 o'clock at night if you're going to go to bed in the next half hour. And that blue light is really associated a lot with daylight, and it triggers things in our body. I am not a biologist, but they will tell you, that it affects our circadian rhythms and our ability to sleep. And then we also figured, well, we're animals, so I bet you this affects other animals. And sure enough, it affects migrating birds. Birds frequently migrate at night, and light pollution. So stray human-made light can drastically affect how these birds fly and which direction they go. And then it was studied and discovered that so many insects, the obvious ones are like moths, are actually out there in the night, and they're pollinating. They're landing on plants and gathering up their pollen and spreading it around, and this is happening at night. And if all these insects are flying into human-made lights and going into cities where there's less plants and stuff to pollinate, then it can drastically affect their life and the life of the plants elsewhere.
And just kind of hearing about all these effects, light pollution and animals, what kind of regulations were kind of implemented into Sunriver as part of these dark sky efforts, or were those kind of always a part of the community?
They were it was a little bit of both. Some of the stuff had been there when it was designed. So one of the first things they did was like um, make sure all the outside lighting is covered. It all points downward. It's capped all around, so you can't just like look. Shouldn't be able to look at a light bulb, and now it's an LED panel. Uh, things like for buildings and stuff, the lighting should be up in soffits under the eaves instead of like on the wall where it's kind of blaring in your face. Those kind of the first things that people start out with when they're trying to keep the skies dark. And then we've also learned that the color temperature of lighting drastically affects what bugs can see. Again, those harsh, bright white lights, blue lights, feels like daylight to us, feels like daylight to other animals, and so they can move away or towards that kind of stuff. And so also getting a what we call warmer light, even though it's kind of a more yellowish amber light. When you get down into certain yellows, bugs can't even see them.
Huh.
And so, yeah, it's a matter of changing all of that stuff and just making sure most people are compliant. In fact, we even recommend, and the community recommended, it's like, yeah, make sure you're turning your lights off at night. There's no porch lights on all night. So some kind of basic things like that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I feel like there's so many, like the bugs. I don't think about that. In terms of, I feel like I assume bugs are like, a lot of bugs are asleep at night, or like flowers are closed at night. But yeah, that makes perfect sense that the ecosystem would evolve in such a way that would make the nighttime important for the environment. So, I mean, aside from all of these factors, I feel like a lot of what we talk about dark skies, is how the dark skies enable people to see the stars better and to see stuff up, in the sky a little bit easier, to connect us with the cosmos in a way. And part of what we've talked about with dark sky stuff is astrotourism, the idea that people would be drawn to these dark places in order to see some of this stuff, meteor showers, or just the Milky Way, or to do some, telescope observations. Have you seen, since Sunriver sort of made an effort to do a lot more of this, have you seen more people sort of flocking to your observatory and the town to do this kind of thing?
Yes, the demographic has changed a little bit. So for years, we are in a popular destination resort. So we've had visitors for years come mainly from Willamette Valley, Portland area, and Seattle. And then quite a few people from the San Francisco Bay Area. And they were just your typical visitor. They came to ride horses, go hiking, mountain biking, things that people have been doing in Central Oregon for several years. And we always figured Sunriver and somewhat Bend, especially for family activities, kind of shut down at night. And so we've been popular for years that way. But what has changed is people coming in going specifically, oh yeah, no, we searched places to visit that had an observatory, had dark skies. The new, the digital cameras, especially even just the quality on your phone, have made astrophotography kind of a new hobby for a lot of people. It is amazing. I've got teenagers coming in and like asking how to get nightscapes and things like that, where it seemed like it was a kind of a dying hobby for a long time. It was just a bunch of old guys, and now there's a lot of people that can just pull out their phone and put it in night mode and get a kind of a reasonably good picture of a comet or the Milky Way. And so, yeah, it's really noticeable in that people are specifically mentioning that they're coming for the dark skies, which when in the past we were somewhat of just a little extra thing to do at night.
Yeah, and that was kind of what brought me there too. So I visited the Sunriver Nature Center and Observatory in early April, and I actually was able to kind of go through the program and see what visitors experience during those nightly sky viewings on Saturdays. So, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of programs you're offering at the Sunriver Nature Center and Observatory, what people can expect at different times of the day or season?
Yeah, so of course the big draw is the evening programs, and it depends on the time of year. So it's one thing you always have to check our website for the times, because we like to start as early as possible, just for the sake of working folks and people with kids. So in the winter we might start as early as 7. In spring and fall we might start around 8, and we're already now, it's May, so here we are, we're starting at 9 and 9:30, because it doesn't get dark until then. So we will start our programs as soon as we can, but that usually involves a small astronomy talk, maybe a talk about exploring Mars, or how a star's life cycle, how we go through a star's life cycle, or the moons of the solar system. Some of the typical programs we like to talk about. And then that might be like a half hour, and we kind of call it our stall for darkness talk. And that means by the time we're done with that talk, we go out to the dark observatory, and we're going to have a dozen or so telescopes set up on different objects. And we run programs Wednesdays and Saturdays year round. And then here in the summer, coming up here late June through Labor Day, we'll actually have 4 public nights of program, where you can just kind of register online. And then also year round, we also offer private programs. So say you and your family or your business want to have the observatory to yourself for a night, we also do that on like Tuesdays and Fridays. So we offer a few different little programs. We do the 2-hour program with the talk, but we also offer a night with just like an hour of viewing, which is usually plenty for people to go through the telescopes a couple times. If you don't have the patience for an astronomy talk, or you have maybe little younger kids that might not be able to stay up too late. During the day, people usually get a big surprise during the day that, hey, the observatory's open. And then one of the coolest things we do is we have a couple telescopes with very specialized filters for looking at the sun. And the sun is really the only star we can see in that good a detail. So it is actually a great learning experience, and pretty fascinating to see the sun with those special filters.
That sounds so cool. Like I want to go now and hang out and look at stuff in the sky. Paul, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding is that this summer we're kind of entering a phase where we're not going to have a lot of planets that are out at night. I think Mars is supposed to be up through maybe like July or August or something. But like when there's not planets up there to see, which I imagine is sort of like a big reason people want to go out and look through a telescope. What else are you looking up there?
Yeah, that's a great question. People don't sometimes all realize that all the planets aren't available all the time. And so, yes, we are kind of what we would think of as a planet dry summer. Jupiter's already starting to set. Mars is heading that direction. And we won't get Saturn back until September. So what we do in the meantime is we love looking at the moon. And then once it gets really dark, maybe the moon goes away, is when we can pull out the really cool stuff. We look at faraway galaxies, nebulas, the leftovers of stars that have died, the birthplace of stars, different kinds of star clusters. And then if we get a special, treat of a meteor shower, like the most famous one is the Perseid meteor shower in that second week of August. So that's always a big draw. And then, maybe we might get a comet or something. But yeah, we try to give our visitors a good variety of things to look at. And the planets are an easier one to see. They're a big draw, but we have all these wonderful mysteries that are actually a little harder to see, and that's the benefit of a telescope, is it lets us see these faint, faraway objects.
Yeah, and I was super impressed by what I was able to see that night that I went in April. Just the kind of diversity of things in the sky that you don't really think about. Definitely loved looking at the moon, though. That was one of my favorites. I just am a big fan of the moon, so I thought it was so cool to be able to see it in such detail. And when I was there, you had a pretty good group there, maybe around like 50 plus people. But how many people do you typically host during your peak summer season?
We cap it at 150 people, and we do our presentations outside. If you came on a night, Kiara, with the presentation, you probably went into our little education classroom.
Yes.
But now we'll move it out to our amphitheater. So we'll do it outdoors, our little outdoor presentation. And then we open up the big back deck, which probably still could have had snow piles in it behind them when you were there. And so we'll get those open. So we open up a huge amount of area in our back patio area so we can spread folks out. And we actually have some really big telescopes out in the back, and that we're going to be able to start using here this month, actually.
Wow, it sounds like a very exciting moment to be able to really get into the season of stargazing, to have all those people show up who are so excited and happy to be there and happy to learn about stuff. That must be such a joy for you.
Yes, it is nice to have. It's something that people want to do, and so you get a lot of smiling faces and people that have some great questions. I think it really engages the staff, and then of course the staff that I have are all going to be people that are enthusiastic about doing this. We've got a lot of volunteers. We've got a lot of people that have full-time jobs, but they want to come out and work, a shift or two a week because they just love it so much. So when you have people that passionate about it, they can kind of infect that passion into the crowd, and you can hear it in the responses at the end of the night.
And I know Sunriver is kind of this really special gem in Central Oregon, but what do you think sets it apart from other observatories, or how would you maybe encourage people to come check it out?
I think it's the ease of access. You're not having to drive up a big rough mountain road to get to it. And then just the sheer number of telescopes that we have open to the public. Once we get into our full summer swing, we can operate as many as 15 to 18 telescopes in a night. So that gives a variety of targets. Like we're just talking about, is like being able to not just look. You didn't look at Jupiter all night, and that wasn't the only thing we saw. We're going to see several galaxies, several star clusters, several nebula, and so the variety of equipment is really different from a lot of observatories I've visited all over the world that are, kind of the public, geared for public education. You don't get to put an eyepiece to the giant 10-meter telescope on top of Mauna Kea in Hawaii, or the giant telescopes in Chile or Gran Canary Islands. And so when it's for viewing and you get to be the person that puts your eye up to the eyepiece and look at these things directly, our collection is kind of world class that way.
That's great. We talked about at the beginning this development of distinction title that Dark Sky gave, and our understanding is that title is no longer in use. I think the website says it's sort of like a defunct designation. First of all, like what's the deal with that? And second of all, what is the status of Sunriver's Dark Sky designation?
That is a good question, and we're actually involved with the Oregon chapter of the Dark Sky Association, and we are going to work on let's maybe change this to official some other official designation. And it was we were like one of the tail end of this development of distinction idea, and then they're like, well, let's just make dark sky places. And so we may have to do a few more little investigations into our lighting and practice and our dark skies, and we will hopefully just change that designation to just a full dark sky place. And so yeah, it is kind of up in the air right now, but it is something that we are talking about. And one of the things that we want to do is help these other communities in other places get these designations so that they can continue on the good work and maybe make all of Oregon kind of a dark sky place. So hopefully, hopefully we'll get that squared away. I don't have a great answer for that right now.
No, that's perfect. So that's one exciting upcoming development. And anything else that you kind of want to shout out or you're excited about at the observatory for the future?
Well, I think that the whole dark sky community and these other dark sky places, I think it's a great community, and we are all interested in helping each other. And one of the things that we're kind of interested in doing with the Sunriver Nature Center and Observatory is kind of be the gateway to the one of the largest dark sky places in the world, and that is Southern Oregon. So that new designation down there, and of course, we're going to be the closest observatory, to that, or in the perfect like gateway for general public to learn about that. And so we want to make connections with more folks down there, and so hopefully get more people visiting that down there, where they can really see an open expanse of amazing skies. So yeah, it's just the more of the community be involved with the community and help maybe some of these other places with equipment. We have lots of telescopes, and sometimes we get donations, and if we can kind of share the love, it'll kind of help us all.
Yeah. And are there any special events coming up at Sunriver Nature Center and Observatory?
We do have some talk series. We're actually going to do a little dark sky talk coming up in July, and we have a young gentleman that just won a prize, engineering prize, at the Benn Science Center for his work on light color with dark skies and how it affects things in the dark sky. He's going to be a special presenter in that. So we do have a talk series called Twilight Talks that affect different areas of our organization. So we have our plants and our animals and our education department, and then of course our astronomy department and observatory. So yeah, our Twilight Talk series is going along, and then we'll have special guest speakers pop up, when they can also. So that's just one of those things is Nothing on the calendar right now that is very specific outside of the Twilight talks, but we'll post those as soon as we know we can get a hold of a special guest or something.
Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us all about the observatory. Obviously, lots of great stuff happening there. Such a cool spot to stop by. So, folks, make sure you stop by the Sunriver, say hi to Paul, and take a look at the stars out there. Thanks again, Paul, for coming by and talking to us.
Well, thanks for having me on.
All right, folks, that will do it for us for today. Until next time, you can watch our videos on the Oregonians YouTube channel and view all of our travel and outdoors coverage on OregonLive.com/travel, as well as HereIsOregon.com.
Please leave us a rating or review if you enjoy the show, and if you want to support this podcast as well as our local journalism, please consider a subscription to Oregon Live. You can find details at OregonLive.com/podsupport. Also, if you're a fan of the show and you're interested in potentially sponsoring it, you can get in touch with our marketing people at advertise@oregonian.com. This episode of the show was produced by me, alongside Jamie Hale and Vicky Connor.
Stay safe and happy travels, everyone. Until next time, we leave you with this 10 seconds of Zen.